What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is the chick coming at you with what could quite possibly be the best gold farm in World of Warcraft Season of Discovery. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell notification icon so you get notified every time I come out with a new video. Anyway, let's jump right into it. I know you guys are familiar with the BRD Pickpocket Guide, right? Well, here we go. We're doing this in stocks. Couple of things I'd like to tell you before we get started. First thing, you need three things in your bags. Three, you need flash powder, you need crippling poison, and you need thieves tools. And then you need a bunch of empty bag space because you're going to be filling this up. So what we're going to be doing for the most part is looking for battered junk boxes. Well, there's a couple of different reasons we're looking for battered junk boxes. One of them is because they have a pretty decent drop table. I'm going to show you what they have. And secondly, because they can drop potions, which we know we can sell like crazy. And there's a couple other things that they can drop. So first thing I'm going to do real quick is show you what the pickpocketing loot table is for the mobs in here. That way you get the kind of TLDR if that's what you want to do. So first things first, we are going to be switching over to this view here. This is one of the mobs that is inside stockades. And here's what the loot table is. And this is the same for all of the mobs in stockades. You can pick the bosses, you can pick anybody you can get to that you can get close enough to in stealth. Battered junk box, most important, 59% chance. Small pocket watch, almost a free silver every time. The food, you always just vendor the food. You can literally just have free food forever because you're going to be pocketing food. Healing potions, this is one of the big sellers. This is what we're doing the most. Masa Gate, this sells really good too. Lesser Moonstone, this also sells really good. So the cool thing about these two items is if you get them, when you get them like crazy, is even if they're not selling well in the auction house, Masagati sells for 4 silver to the vendor, Lesser Moonstone sells for 6 silver to the vendor, and it's really good. And then you pop over to the battered junk box, right? So again, these can have inside them healing potions at a really high percentage. So this is making us money. They have small pocket watches. This is making us money. And then you have a lot of rings. So the cool part about the rings is if they roll good stats, like of the monkey, of the tiger, of the bear, you know, you're going to be able to sell these in the auction house for a pretty penny too. If not, you can disenchant them, make a decent amount of money off of them that way. Some of these formulas are okay. And then you have Masa Gate and Lesser Moonstone again. So the biggest things are the 2 gems, the rings, and the healing potions. Everything else is just free money. You also get a pretty decent amount of raw coppers from doing this. So the other thing I would say, you can do this in any spec you want. However, I have a spec that I like to use specifically for this. I use 5 in the opportunity, 5 in the camouflage, 2 into elusiveness. So you might be like, Chiggy, why are you using elusiveness? So the biggest part about why I use elusiveness is the vanish and blind cooldown by 1.5 minutes. So instead of a 5-minute cooldown on your vanish, it's 3.5 minutes. So what that means is as soon as you get seen, unless you're trying to get one of the chests, as soon as you get seen, you just vanish, right? And what this allows you to do is gives you a little bit less time you have to wait before you can get seen again, right? I do not recommend waiting until your vanish is up to continue, because if you do get rip and pepperonied, you can just run back from the graveyard. It takes 2 minutes. It takes 120 seconds to get back in here and start pickpocketing again from the graveyard. I would recommend, however, if you do die, that you just reset the instance when you walk in and get started back to it. The thing is, too, if you're in here and you're not trying to get chests like I do, you can just keep going in circles, because by the time you finish the dungeon, when you get back to the first set of mobs, their pockets are likely going to be reset. So you never even have to leave. So here's what I have. I have 5 in opportunity, just do a little more damage with an opener if I need to. Add 5 into camouflage. Increase your speed while stealth. This is very important when you're doing these kinds of farms. Elusiveness for the cooldown. Improved ambush for opening on the mobs that I do want to take out when I am trying to get a chest. And ghostly strike just to kind of help me get a little better survivability when I need it. With the chest rune, I'm using Deadly Brew because with the leg rune, I have Between the Eyes, and the hand rune, I'm using Mutilate. So Mutilate because it's just the most combo points per energy we can get right now at 30. Between the Eyes to help us stay alive while we are taking out these mobs when we are trying to get the chests, and Deadly Brew for a little bit of extra damage. So, as you can see, the only poison I kept on me is Crippling Poison, and that is because it has a really high chance to be applied, so it's going to get our Deadly Poison stacked up really quick. And when the mobs run from us when we're trying to get a chest or something, that's going to keep them slowed, and it's going to give us a higher chance of survivability because it's going to be less likely that they're going to be pulling other mobs. So, what I suggest doing is in the dungeon, everybody knows what the map looks like, go to one side, right? So go up the left, go up the right, go just stick to the right the whole time, go around the whole thing, come back down and around, and then come back out the door. If you get Rip and Pepperoni'd, you can just, if you come back in, that allows you to just start on the left side, go around the other way, and by the time you get back over to where you were on the right, those mobs are reset, right? And then get the mobs in the middle as you're going, right? So the reason we're using the improved stealth is so we can speed through here. So before you get started, go ahead and put Crippling Poison on both your weapons because we never know which one of the cell blocks is going to have the chest in them. All right, so running around. Also, do not forget to use your distract as a way to do it. I'm going to let this video go and ramble and talk while I am I'm only going to show you guys one run, and then if you guys have interest in seeing, I will show you how much you can get in an hour for the most part. I'll just do a full hour, I'll record it the whole time, and I will just show you how that goes. So as you can see, I'm just running through here. If you want, you can use your sprint on cooldown. You can do whatever you need, and then here, like, you got a big group of mobs, so go ahead and distract them, pick all their pockets, and like I said, when you're going through here, just stay to one side or the other. So I normally go left. You can walk in, you can get what you want. If you have decent gear, you can also not only do this, but you can sell runs of coming in and taking out the rare spawn Bruegel, which I don't have good enough gear to take out the rare spawn, so I don't even try. I've tried to take him down a couple of times, even with the PvE spec, and my gear is just not good enough yet. I've not been into the raid. I've just got a handful of items and stuff, so I'm really not doing super well gear-wise yet. But what I will tell you is that if your gear is even mediocre and you know how to use your rogue tricks, you will be able to get the chest in here. So you just make sure you're paying attention to what you're doing. Here's another room full of mobs, so go ahead and just do that. So when you are in these in the ends where the bosses are, I would recommend just skipping the cell blocks where the bosses spawn, because the bosses are orange to us, and the likelihood that you will be seen when you go into the boss room is pretty high. All right, so there we go. I got resisted immediately. Since I wasn't trying to do anything fancy, I'm not trying to get a box in here or anything, I just went ahead and I vanished and went ahead and got it on cooldown. 1% to be resisted is 1% to be resisted, right? So sometimes you are going to resist, sometimes you're not going to resist. Sometimes you'll go several runs without getting resisted. Okay, so Dextrin Ward's in there. He's yellow because he's level 26 this time, but I'm not even going to risk it, right? So I'm just going to go down the next side. I'm going to distract the mobs that are in the hallway. Double check to see if I picked his pocket. I had not. All right, so we're going in here. And you see I'm just staying to the left. Staying to the left. Staying to the left. And I'm just All I'm doing is making sure that I'm paying attention to my stealth mechanic, making sure that I'm not getting into their line of sight. Obviously, you have a little bit of leeway if you pick the spec that I have, but if you do not get the spec that I have, it is very likely that you'll be seen when you're running through here, right? So, um, you got to really be on it and make sure that you are not getting into their view. If they see you and they look in your general direction, you just make sure you take your time, go around to the side, make sure you are getting everything that you need to get. All right, so now we're back to the big circle of mobs here, so you can distract them, get the ones that you haven't picked yet. So that mob's padding out, we're gonna let him pat. We can go ahead and just walk right past him because I have improved stealth. I would not try to walk that close to mobs if you do not have improved stealth, because that's going to make your life a little more difficult, because you walk that close to a mob, there's a chance you'll get seen, and we don't want to get seen. So sometimes you can use the ability of making them halfway notice you to stop moving as a positive, right? So just make sure if you're going to use that, you use it properly. And then in rooms like this, where if you do pull a mob, you only pull one mob, feel free to just do what you, well, there we go. All right, so this situation, right? I'm going to just let it rip and pepperoni me, right? I'm not even going to try to fight him. You could if you wanted to. Like, could you take him out? Maybe. Maybe not, right? But what we're going to do, like I said, it takes 2 minutes to run back, so I will put a timestamp here so you can move forward if you want, but this is just going to let you see that the run back is not that bad. And then here's what we got in just getting through that first little bit, right? We've been doing this just a couple of minutes, and we have Snapvine Watermelon, which vendors for 25 copper. We have 4 of the small pocket watches. We have a potion, so that's 5 silver, right? We have already pickpocketed 15 silver worth of things because I didn't vendor or buy anything when I logged in this time around. So we've already just pickpocketed 15 raw silver, and it's only been a couple of minutes, right? And then all of these are going to have raw silver in them. All of these are going to have items in them. All of these are just going to be really good. I don't know why they're shutting down the server in 14 minutes. So what I'll do is I'll just show you what you do when your bags are full, right? So I'll get back over here. You run up here, and then I'll show you what, like, this wasn't a full run, by the way. This was just barely over half. I got into one room past being halfway done, and then I got resisted again and got rip and pepperonied. So this is just a little bit more than half. And this is without any chests. This is without any trying to take out any bosses. So this, whatever we got here, double it, right? And this is a pretty good representation of how the runs go. So this is not a bad representation at all. You normally fill up your bags really fast. So the gems stack up. So what you can do is you can just start rolling down your gems and your potions and stuff down here, and you're going to vendor everything else. And then if you get any greens, you can go ahead and if they're worth selling, you can go ahead and put them into the auction house. All right, so you run in, reset. All right, so run out of the dungeon, go ahead and reset the dungeon. Yep. And then you will just go ahead and unlock all your boxes. This is literally the most time consuming part. So what you can do is, if you have a friend who will help you, you can trade them all of your boxes, and you can do this instantly, right? Because it takes 4 seconds per box when you do it your own. But if you have a buddy, or if you're like me and you have 2 accounts, what you can do is you can give them all to your friend, and then you can instantly pickpocket, because once you put, or not pickpocket, but pick lock, because when you put the items for boxes in the will not be traded slot and you pick the pocket, it's instant, bang, instant, bang, instant, bang. So as long as your friend or yourself are on the spot like as long as you're on top of your game there, you're going to be getting it done super quickly because put it in, pick it, trade, put it in, pick it, trade, put it in, pick it, trade. However, if you're not fast about it, it is going to be slower, right? Like it is going to be slower. But so you pick your pockets, then you pick your locks, and then make sure, you know, and it's going to tell you if it's unlocked or not. So what I like to do is unlock them all and then open them all. Just preference. You can do it one at a time. Like it doesn't save you any time. But the reason I unlock them all first is because as you're doing this, you're just standing here and you're picking the pockets or picking the locks rather. And then after you're done, what you can do is while you're running. So I'll show you where the closest vendor is, and then I'll show you where the closest repair is. So while you're running over to the closest vendor, just go ahead and pop them open, right? There are the sounds you'll get familiar with. The pating, you either got a gem or a pocket watch. See, I got a gem there. So there we go. You got another pocket watch. There we go. So I got 2 potions, a lesser moonstone, 7 watches, 3 moist cornbread, 2 dwarven mild, and a snapvine watermelon, as well as 30 raw silver in just a couple of minutes, right? So this guy, he sells scrolls of agility. So what I would do is every time he has scrolls of agility, just buy them, right? Scroll spirit, buy them. Scroll stamina, buy them. Just any scrolls this guy has, buy them, because you can either use them for yourself or you can sell them in the auction house, right? So you can let these start stacking up. Now I wouldn't buy the scroll of intellect because that one's always low, because mages just get intellect scrolls, right? So I would leave that one alone. But the other ones I would buy. And then this is just what your bags are going to like and it's going to look like. And then you're going to reset it. You're going to do it again. The closest repair vendor is the cloth repair vendor in the magic quarter. I'll show you where that is. And then you can do what you want accordingly. The closest mailbox is the regular one over by the auction house, right? So that's going to be the closest mailbox. This one's almost as close, but if you're going to repair, you can go to the one over here. If you're not going to repair, I wouldn't worry about this one. So here at the Duncan's Textiles, this is where you repair. So you go in, you talk to Duncan, repair, run back out, right? And then if you don't have a bank alt, you can just run over to the auction house once you have however many things down here that you want to throw up in the auction house, do that. And that's the farm, right? Like, I know I was a little long-winded explaining it, but the TLDR, do not worry about your spec. You can do this in whatever spec you want. However, it is a little more effective if you do it in the proper spec. Other than that, like, get out there and do it, guys. With all the bots and stuff running around doing all the farming, like, this is something you can do, and you don't really have to worry about competition. You can do what you want. You can turn your brain off, watch a show. Like, this is an easy farm, right? So, and here's what we do, right? So if the current auction is lower than the price, right, you can vendor these because you can still vendor them for 6 silver, right? Like, vendoring gems is not a bad thing. So what we'll do is anything that we want to throw up in here, we'll just throw it up in here. We'll skip our poisons, we'll throw up our scrolls, we'll skip our flash powders, and then lesser moonstone is all that's left. So you can either A, hold on to this, or B, go ahead and vendor it, whichever you want to do. So that's it, guys. So in my opinion, this is the best gold farm that you can be doing right now. Super easy, barely an inconvenience. You know how it goes. Anyways, thanks for sticking around. Catch you guys in the next one.